Hey, what up YouTube? This is Jack from Jack's Aquarium Show, and I'm going to do a video about filtration. Talk to you guys about what filtration is, why it's important, what are the different types, and what are some brands that I recommend. Just a disclaimer, this video is not paid for, it's not monetized. These are just my own ideas about what filters I like and what I use for my tanks. The filtration really is the life support of the fish. Without filtration, your fish will die. So it's really important. Even if the water looks clean, it might not be safe for the fish. And I'll get into that later on in this video. But think about it like that way. Filtration is the life support. So there's three types of filtration. Got an image here. So there's mechanical, chemical, and biological. So with mechanical, that's about actually clearing out the physical brackishness of the water, the bits of waste, poop, old food that doesn't get eaten. You can see here, this is like kind of like a spongy mesh material. I've got another example here. This is called filter floss. It's very, very fine, and that is also really good mechanical filtration. But it catches it's kind of described as polishing the water. The next kind of filtration is chemical filtration, and people will use some types of chemicals to remove ammonia or other stuff in the water, raise the pH or lower the pH or whatever. I add activated carbon to my fish tank, which is simply charcoal, like a coal. In fact, I think I've got a little packet of it here. Yeah, so here's what it looks like for mine. It's just a pouch of just activated, basically charcoal, and that helps to remove chlorine and chloramine, which is present in tap water, and it can do some other good things for your fish tank. I'm not quite sure what, but be honest about what I don't know. But I'm sure I always use it. Everybody recommends using it, so that's important. And then, but here's I think the most important part of filtration, the biological filtration. And biological filtration, people call it biofiltration. That's where beneficial bacteria, sometimes people call it BB if they're on an online forum. Beneficial bacteria is really important for your fish tank because your aquarium water naturally develops ammonia, and ammonia is given off from fish waste and decomposing natural material. And so, and ammonia is toxic to fish. So, but ammonia is eaten by bacteria, and so that's biological filtration is about trying to build up the bacteria that consumes that ammonia. And the way that it works is you, as part of your filtration, so the way that this works is you're running water over these materials. So you've got to have flow. You've got to have water flowing over these over this stuff. And typically you want 100 gallons per hour for every 10 gallons of aquarium water you have in your fish tank. So for this aquarium, this is a 75-gallon tank, and I am running Fluval FX4 down here. And that is, you can't see it so well, it's kind of dark. That is pumping 700 gallons per hour. So about 10 times per hour, all the water in the tank gets cycled through this filter. About 10 times per hour, 9 or 10 times per hour, the entire water, all the water gets filtered through. So that's the rule of thumb. I think it's 100 gallons per hour of flow per 10 gallons of water you have. But there's a lot of aquarium filter companies that sell way underpowered filters and then say that they are rated for bigger fish tanks than they are, so they want to sell it to you. I'm going to get into that later. But anyways, so what you're doing is you're pushing water over these materials, which filters the water and cleans it. And on this biological filtration media, we call it media because it's a medium through which water passes through. And on this, bacteria grows, and that's why it's called biological filtration. And that bacteria consumes the ammonia and turns it into nitrite. Nitrite is also toxic to fish. But there's another kind of bacteria that then grows and consumes nitrite, and that bacteria converts the nitrite into nitrate. And so you've got this process where you have ammonia, and then you have nitrite, and then you have nitrate. Now, nothing consumes nitrate. So that's why you have to do your water changes. But it's called cycling when your beneficial bacteria converts these chemicals from ammonia to nitrite to nitrate. So I've got some biological filtration media here. This is what it looks like. But you can also get other kinds of media. You can, this mesh also grows a lot of great beneficial bacteria on it. You can get plastic balls that grow beneficial bacteria on them. Here's a bunch of different kinds of things that will grow beneficial bacteria. And here's looks like this is a cartoon of the nitrogen cycle. So you can see fish produces waste, decomposes, turns into ammonia. Ammonia gets converted into nitrite. Bacteria converts that to nitrate. And then the nitrates sit in your tank until you do a water change. And nitrates aren't so toxic to fish. So, they can live with nitrate, but you do want to be changing the water. And I'll talk about water changes later. So those are the kinds of the three kinds of filtration, and those three kinds of filtration are going to be included in any filter. Any good filter will have all three of those types covered. So you might be thinking, do I need 3 filters? You don't need 3 filters. You need 1 filter that covers all 3. So let's talk about types of filters. There's a few different kinds that I want to talk about. And the first is one you've probably seen before. It's included in a lot of aquarium packs, aquarium, big boxes that have everything in them that you need to get started. A hang-on back filter that sits on the back of your filter, sits outside of it. And the way that it works is, here's a picture of a real hang-on back aquarium filter. The water gets sucked up by an impeller, and then water sits in this chamber, and then it naturally overflows back into the fish tank. And that's how it pumps the water. Now when the water gets pumped into this chamber, that's where it passes through your filter media, your biological, your mechanical, your chemical. So let's go back to this MS Paint diagram. So let's see, what do they have? Yeah, so okay, so it looks like this is the fish tank, this is the inlet, here's your filter media, and then it overflows. Let's see if we can find a good image of what this looks like. Here's kind of a cross section of what it looks like. You get these little filter cartridges that you put in, and it looks kind of like this. There's some activated carbon inside of it, inside of the filter floss, and then there's there's usually something for bacteria to grow on, and then it's water is constantly passing over this filtration media, and it's a pretty reliable type of filter. You just plug it in and it goes. I think you have to add water to it to prime it, but other than that, it's a pretty simple system. In fact, I have one. I have a couple. They're pretty cheap. You can, depending on how big you want to get them. Here's a hang-on back filter. Looks like that. And then there's the chamber where the water passes through, and you stick your mesh, your filter cartridge in there, and the water just overflows over that. And there's what the mesh looks like. So it kind of goes in there. So that's how a hang-on back filter would work. The other type of filter is a sponge filter. Now this is an air-powered sponge filter. So how it works is you've got an airline where there's here, you've got bubbles coming out of that tube coming into the aquarium filter. So it's like one of those. You get an air pump, except it goes into this sponge, and then the bubbles rise up through this tube, and that, because there's bubbles rising up through that tube, there's also water being pulled with those bubbles, and so water gets sucked in and then through, and so the water passes through that, and that's like a spongy mesh type material. And so it's super simple. This is probably the cheapest kind of aquarium filter that you can get. All you need is an air pump and one of these, which is, they're less than $20. The downside, the reason why people don't use these so much is because they're big and they go inside your tank and they take up space. I've actually got one of these here in this little beta bowl that I got going. You see, there's my little air-powered filter. So that lower layer is just kind of like gravelly type stones that the beneficial bacteria grow on, and then this next layer is just a sponge that collects the dirt and waste. And so it's real simple. A lot of breeders use it because it's cheap. And here's the last kind of filter that I want to share with you guys. This is called a canister filter. It's probably the most heavy duty filter that we're going to talk about today. The only filter that's probably more involved in this one would be a sump, but that's not even something that I deal with. But this is a canister filter. And the idea behind a canister filter is water comes in through here. Water is pumped in through here and pumped out that way. And when it's pumped in, the water passes through all this media, and that's where you put your mechanical, biological, chemical filtration, and then it gets pumped back. And the catch is that it's all enclosed and it's under pressure. That's important because that means you don't have to pump it twice. If this was open, then you'd have to pump the water from the fish tank down to the filter and then pump it again back up. But because it's all enclosed, it's all under pressure, there's just one impeller. And so it just pumps it from the fish tank and it's just all one. The downside is that it is under pressure and that causes some problems. For example, leaks. That's why we pay plumbers to do what they do, because it takes a lot of skill and a lot of knowledge to be able to plumb something and make it so it doesn't leak. So that's why it's really important to know what you're buying when you buy a canister filter. There are tons and tons and tons and tons of posts made online by people saying my canister filter is leaking, my canister filter is leaking, and that's because canister filters are really prone to leaking, and it sucks. But this is also, I think, the best bang for your buck if you're going to... Well, I really endeavor to... I'm going to endeavor to use canister filters from now on for any size tank, but especially for a 75-gallon. I would really encourage you all to, if you can, use a canister filter. All the filtration sits outside of the tank. You just have your in and your out. And the other thing is that they're quite expensive. So I'll talk about the brands in a minute, but they're quite a bit more expensive than typical. I would say they're on the higher end. But they definitely do the job well. So now that I've kind of gone through all of that, I want to talk about brands that I like. The most, I think the most well-renowned brand of filters is Eheim. Their canister filters, I see them used a lot in aquarium stores. People really love these filters, and they're known for being very quiet and very reliable. That's the thing you really want to look for in a filter is whether they're quiet and whether they're reliable. You figure out how much flow rate you want or you need. How many gallons per hour do you need for your aquarium? And then you want to look at, given that, what filters can I buy that are going to be reliable and quiet? The worst thing you want is to buy a filter and then after a year it starts to be making a lot of noise. That's happened to me with two filters, an Aquarium hang-on-back filter and then a Tetra Whisper. And Tetra Whispers are supposed to be really quiet, and this Tetra Whisper that I bought, the Tetra Whisper 20, was not quiet. So aquarium filters get loud, and that's why you really got to pay attention. Buy something you know is going to be quiet for not just on day one, but as long as you own it. But Eheim, they're hard to get a hold of. I wouldn't say they're widely available. You can't just go buy them at PetSmart. PetSmart might have some Eheim filters, but I don't think so. And if they do, they won't have a great selection. Eheim filters are also very expensive. I think you're going to be paying at least $300 for an Eheim filter. But that's that's kind of the first brand I want to talk about. I think EIM is a great brand, and I've heard nothing but good things about them. But they are expensive, so I do not own an EIM, and I probably wouldn't consider buying one for that reason. But kind of I wanted to share with you, what would be a very cheap filter for a large aquarium like mine, a 75-gallon. What would be the cheapest filter you could buy? And it would probably be one of these guys, one of these, air-powered sponge filters. See there's one for $10. You can pick these up at any store that sells aquarium stuff, and then you need to have an air gosh, I forgot, I can't even think of the name, an air machine that blows the bubbles. So it would be a very cheap thing. However, a lot of people don't like these because they're ugly. They sit in your tank. They're quite large. I mean, if you had one for a 75-gallon tank, it would be, it would be pretty big. And it might not be enough. You might need to have more than one. So that would be kind of the base, cheapest option for aquarium filter for a 75-gallon tank. The next option you could look at would be a Marineland Emperor 400. The way that these work, these are your classic hang-on back filters with a twist. And the twist is that they have, in addition to the filter cartridges with the chemical filtration and the biological filtration and all that, they've also got, they've got the bio wheel. It's their patented filtration system. The way that the bio wheel works is that it kind of spins, and then water kind of squirts down onto this spinning wheel. And I think Marineland gets a lot of crap for the bio wheel. A lot of people think it's stupid or a gimmick or whatever, but I kind of like it. And I think the reason why I like it is because it exposes the bacteria to air. And a lot of people don't know that your beneficial bacteria not only need water and ammonia to grow, but they also need air. And that's the basis for a lot of sumps and trickle filters, is that you're mixing air and water together to create beneficial, an environment for the beneficial bacteria to grow in. The other thing is just, I've seen a lot of hang-on back filters. There's a lot of media in there, and they really pack it in there, and that really does, I think, make a difference. And also, the Marineland Emperor is the biggest hang-on back filter that I'm aware of. It's called the Emperor 400. I believe that's because it filters 400 gallons per hour. So if I were to use a Marineland Emperor with this fish tank, I would probably have two. And that would be a total of 800 gallons per hour. I would always endeavor to over-filter rather than under-filter. Because really it matters not what the size of your fish tank is. It matters how many fish you have in your tank, and what the bio load is. They say the bio load, or how much, essentially how much waste is being created. So, Marineland Emperors run $65. So, and I very seriously considered using them for this tank, but at the end of the day, it adds bulk to the rear of your fish tank, and there's also a trickling sound that is produced, just like any hang-on back filter. So I decided against it. And what I ended up going for was the Fluval FX4. I'll Google that for you so you can see what it looks like. Fluval is a great brand. I love their products. I have two of their heaters. Of course, my filter. I have one of their air pumps. They're just a great brand, and I have been using this filter for a year now. I've had no leaks. I've had no noise. It's easy to operate, and it's just a great product. I love it. I really do love using it every time. Every time I clean it, it's great. It is rather pricey though. It's not quite as pricey as an Eheim. It's I believe I bought mine for $270. But I just before Christmas I saw FX4s at PetSmart going for $215 on sale, and you can also get them on eBay for that price. Brand new on eBay. So it's a great product. It's got, well, you know, I'll just take it out and show you what it looks like. Here, I gotta put my phone down. So here's what the FX4 looks like. Turn my lights on so you can see it. So there's the in, and it comes through here, and there's a valve here where you can slow the flow rate like that, or open it. So this is like a valve. You can turn it off or turn it on or slow it. And then the water passes through these chambers, and then it comes out through the out. And there's another valve there. And there's these screws which you just unscrew by hand, but there's a lot of canister filters will just have a single clasp on each corner, but this is very secure. One thing that people say about this filter is that it never leaks. The other nice thing about it is that it has drain, so if I wanted to, I could open this. Water would just start pouring out and flood my basement, so I wouldn't do that, but one thing that you can do is you can get this hose, connect it there, and then you've got, you can drain your tank that way. And that's how I clean my tank. Cleaning this thing is a whole nother and a whole nother conversation. I'll do another video about it, just because cleaning a canister filter is just, you gotta kind of get good at it. Once you understand how the filter works, it's really easy. I've got it down to about 5 or 10 minutes to clean my filter, but there's been some mistakes made, and when you make a mistake on cleaning your canister filter, especially if it's one that big, you get absolutely soaked. There's been times when I've been walking around the house in sopping wet clothes because of some error that I made in taking apart or cleaning my filter. So anyways, overall, that's kind of what I would recommend for newbies as far as filters. If you've got a tank like this, Fluval FX4 is a great choice. if I could do it again, I'd probably get the FX6 just because it's the exact same product, but with it's slightly bigger. So there's you get one more layer of media. But this is, you know, this is great too. I can say I've had absolutely no issues with filtration, water quality. You know, it's just it's provided the kind of flow and the kind of, you know, just the filtration in general. It's been the kind of filtration that I need. And you know, there was one more thing I was gonna say before I sign off. Well, it'll probably come to me when I'm done making this video. But yeah, so if you, I know it's been a long video, but hopefully that helps clear things up for you guys. I'll do another video about what it takes to clean this filter of mine, and you can kind of understand how what it's like cleaning a filter when, you know, it's enclosed and the whole thing is under pressure. You know, it's kind of interesting because you've got to release the pressure that's inside of the canister before you can open it up. If you just open it up, water will burst out until it's not under pressure anymore. So you've got to be able to release the pressure before you open it up. So that's really important. That's how I've ended up getting wet before. So anyways, if you have any questions, leave them down below in the comment section. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Smash that bell button, and I'll see you next time for some more videos. Bye bye.